I'm Corey Davis, your host, and I'm thrilled to take you on this journey as we dive into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips to help you thrive as a digital nomad. Welcome back to the Jet Set Journeys podcast. Welcome, everyone. So what we have here is Geleen Antonio, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her digital nomad lifestyle and what she's up to and where she's at now and where she's trying to head. So go ahead, Geleen, and take it away. Tell the audience.
Hello. Hi, Corey. Thanks so much for having me here. Hi, I am Geleen Antonio, Geleen on the go on social media handles. And I guess as a little bit of a background, my mission is to empower women to take the leap to solo travel. I've been doing this for over 10 years myself and started this whole digital nomad journey 4 years ago now, which is wild to think about. And also my mission has expanded to also help people around the world, people in general who are looking to make meaningful connections and don't know where to start. So that's really the focus area of my new startup as well.
Nice. So where are you at right now?
I am currently in Da Nang, Vietnam, a beautiful beach city.
Nice. So what do you have set up so far? Like what are you working with as far as you have your own, I mean, you got IG going on, but what's your main goal where you're trying to get to?
Yeah, so I have my Instagram. I share some of my travel, some of the more transparent perspectives on digital nomadism, building a business, making friends. So it's a little bit of everything, just a taste of my life. Nice. And also helping other women just see what else is possible for them. Right. I have my Travel Not to Escape podcast. And that I finished season 1. We're entering into season 2. And that podcast is all about intentional travel. How do you travel as a way to transform your life rather than to escape it? A lot of us, you and me, I know, came from the US in probably a similar corporate structure, corporate rat race, right? Where you have maybe 2 weeks of vacation to go off and forget your life and be happy. And then you come back and you're faced with that dread of, go back into the office and I guess I'll do this again until I have more vacation time. And I found myself stuck on that cycle, and I want to help others see what else is beyond what they're currently living. So I interview a lot of women that have made that leap, have used solo travel as a catalyst to change their lives and on their trips, rather than using it as a form of distraction or escape, actually seeing what the perspectives are, meeting people, connecting with themselves fully and others in order to get an understanding of like what kind of life they actually want to live and the process that they took in order to get there. And the next season is focused all on connection, specifically how to connect with yourself and others and the places that you're going to.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. So it's not just specific for solo traveler women, but I mean, anybody who's looking to step outside of their normal day-to-day, like you said, rat race and explore and travel and see other places. Because I know people like myself before, it's like you had to save or borrow to take that trip, right? And then you come back and you're relaxed, but now you got to deal with the credit card payments of paying off the trip, right? Or building your savings back up, and it sucks, right? And we always say, well, back to the real world, everyone.
Yeah, back to the real world, exactly. So, I don't want to inspire people to see that the real world can be the world that you actually want to live in. Like your real world doesn't have to look a certain way that you are living right now or that you were taught to live. Like there's so many more possibilities, as you and I know. Yep.
That's awesome. And I like how you're doing that for solo women travelers, because I know a lot of women that I talk to, like in groups or whatever, they're afraid to travel by themselves, right? Especially in somewhere like Southeast Asia where you may not know anything about. And it's scary. I mean, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. It's scary for me to walk around by myself, let alone a woman, right? I feel safer in Asia than I do even back home. just
Yeah.
because the laws are a lot more strict here. And like I'm in the Philippines right now, and the last thing I'd want to go is the Philippines jail. Like in
Yeah.
the US, go to jail, it's almost like a vacation, right? It's like a structured thing, but here, yeah, it's no vacation. It's not fun. So, but people understand that, and they're a little more easygoing and less criminal activity, I would say. But anyways, but for women, I feel like it's a lot safer. Like I know here in the Philippines, they have an anti-bullying law. Like even like catcalls, like people get in trouble for doing the right,
Oh.
like the whistle. Yeah, like they get in trouble here. And so in America, that happens all the time, like sexual harassment and stuff. And so no, like over here in Asia, it's like I've been to Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam too, and it just seems a lot safer for a women traveler. So that's awesome that you're sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. I want to demystify that process, and honestly, anywhere in the world, you're going to have safe parts and unsafe parts. It's really understanding and preparing for what to expect. And I think once you know what to expect, you've spoken with people who've traveled there, people who live there, you get a better sense of how to plan and prepare for that trip.
And so we will definitely attach all her links into somewhere where we can get a hold of her. You guys can get a hold of her, connect to her podcast for sure. You guys can follow her as well as on IG. So what else do you have going on besides the podcast?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Vietnam, as I mentioned, and around this idea of connecting people. So as I've been traveling over the last 4 years, actually a little bit longer, I've been hosting meetup events for travelers. And on top of that, I discovered the secret to meaningful connections is actually play and incorporating an element of play back into your life, and then using that as a foundation for the connection. So a lot of people think, oh, I have to go out, I have to go drink, and I have to meet all these people. And then when I meet those people, maybe I'll like one of them. Or maybe I just go to the event, I'm overwhelmed, and I go home and I'm still by myself at the end of the event, right? Like, how do you go from like being by yourself in a city, whether you're moving there or traveling there, to actually having deep, meaningful conversations with people, friendships from that event, and then from there, maintaining them as you transition to a different city. So I found that this was something that was not unique to me. But that I was able to navigate over and over again very successfully. So across the last 4 years, 30 plus cities, 14-ish countries, I think at this point, just in those last 4 years, I realized I was meeting amazing, beautiful, meaningful connections, and then kept in touch with them, either virtually or saw them multiple times in person. Like I have some friends I've seen in 5 different countries at this point. I realized actually it's a bit of a strategy, and I pulled this because my background's actually in neuroscience, and my corporate career is in healthcare consulting, doing strategy operations, working in tech as well. So I have a lot more of this technical, analytical background, as well as the kind of like the neuroscience of it. So I'm very like research driven. And then on the other side, I have a lot of this experience traveling, connecting people, hosting workshops, and hosting these play events.
Okay.
So I wanted to marry the two things together to become this strategy that people can use, this resource that people can use to make meaningful friendships. So the startup that I am launching while I'm in Vietnam is called Passport to Connection. So it is a curated directory of all of the communities, applications, resources that you would use to make meaningful connections. So for example, there's some like local resources in Bali, like Nomio, that lists all of the events. Here in Da Nang, Vietnam, there's like 3 different, at least that I have found so far, curators of events. So that's Da Nang Leisure, there's Digital Da Nang, Da Nang 365. Each city has their own set of resources, but you're not going to be able to know that unless you're looking for it specifically. Each city has its own WhatsApp groups, its own Facebook groups. Even like larger sites like Meetup or Internations are going to be better in some cities versus others.
Mhm.
So it's overwhelming. No wonder no one knows how to make friends, because you have all these resources, but no curation specifically for you, your interests, what lights you up, and the type of friendships that you're looking for. So that's where the startup comes in, is it not only curates the directory for these resources, but it actually has an AI piece. So I'm using AI, a language learning model that I'm training specifically on neuroscience, the neuroscience of connection, the neuroscience of play, and utilizing that paired with a directory to give you personalized recommendations for that city. So if you're going to go to the Philippines, or if you're going to go to Da Nang, Vietnam, you're going to type in a few answers to some questions regarding how you like to play, what type of friendships you're looking for, a series of other questions, and it'll give you, here are the top 10 ways that you're going to make meaningful friendships in this city. And if you need a little help, if you have some social anxiety, I'm curating a database of coaches and courses as well to help prepare you before you go.
That's awesome.
Startup.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, what? All right. So now we need to talk. So for us, Jet Set Voyage, right? So we are looking to be the main hub for digital nomads, right? So what we're trying to do is build community. We want to build education. We're going to build co-working spaces, right? And places that are like, we're going to start here in the Philippines, because the biggest complaint in the Philippines is the internet and electricity. Yeah. Right? So if you can solve those two things here, it's a great place for someone to come and work on their own business or other things, right? Because the finances is so low that you can take that income, and instead of wasting it on expenses of living, you can feed your business to grow it, right? So we're gonna look to get some co-living spaces here. We like Starlink, so I've been using Starlink since March. I actually took it to Bali for like a week just to test it out, right? So we had an Airbnb and we used the internet there, and Bali internet's horrible. So yeah. I literally just propped it on the roof, and I didn't have to bolt it down or nothing. I just put it up there, and it worked great. So anyways, so we're gonna do that. So we want to start building these smaller co-living spaces where, as you know, like when I first came to Southeast Asia about 3 years ago, and I came to Thailand. I wanted to go to Philippines, but they're closed for COVID. So I went to Thailand, and I figured I'd hang out there, right? Of course, like everybody, I stayed in an Airbnb, and it was like $900 for the month. Well, coming from Phoenix, I was like, that's a deal, right? Yeah. I mean, my mortgage was way more than that. And so anyways, met some friends over there, and they're like, how much you paying for this condo? And I told them, they're like, oh, that's way too much. Like, no, you can go get a condo that's like whatever, like $400. I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And so, but you had to do a year lease. That's the problem, right? Well, yeah. I planned on staying, but so I did the year lease. But even then, if you break the lease early, you lose your deposit. But if it was like $400 on top of that. But anyways, if we could do these co-living spaces that are cheaper, and you don't have to do the whole year lease, and it's more accommodating to digital nomads specifically, because we have the internet set up, we have the generators set up, right? We have the easier living, the more American style set up. So that's something we're looking for, especially starting here in the Philippines. I know there's quite a few good ones in Thailand already, but they're a little bit more pricey. So, anyways, we're definitely looking for that as well. So this is something that we're going to build on Jet Set Voyage. But yeah, I definitely want to talk to you more about your community building, because it's hard for us, right? To find people. I mean, I'm even in the Philippines. I've been here for a year now, and it's still hard for me to find community here, right? Like we said, I don't want to go to the bars and meet people like that. I've been to a couple business networking down in Manila, so I'm like 2 hours north of Manila.
Where, what city? I was actually just there.
I'm in Angeles.
Angeles, okay. Got you. I was living in BGC for a couple months, and then I was in Cavite for 6 months actually. So I'm originally from the Philippines.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Are you a Filipina?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I was born there. Yeah, but I
wasn't gonna assume.
Yeah. So I was born there. I actually spent January until right before Vietnam until July in the Philippines in Cavite.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So
I'll actually be back. So I'll probably see you in the city if
yeah. we'll definitely
You're
meet up.
so
Yeah,
good.
we'll meet. I'll come down there and see you. Do you know where Angeles is?
Yeah, it's just like
Oh,
a bit north of
yeah,
the
yeah,
main hub. Yeah,
yeah.
and I think that would be amazing because that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to curate all the resources that are available for travelers, for people looking to make connections. I'm including all of that. I want to be essentially a more targeted Google search
Right.
specifically for people looking for connection, for travelers, and giving them the resources that they're looking for.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it really is hard to find. And so that is
Mhm.
something, and especially so for the way I see it, digital nomads is a great group because first of all, we travel outside of season, right? We prefer because
Mhm.
it's actually cheaper that way, and you can enjoy it more with less tourists running around. And then on top of that, we're year round. And so, and it changes. Like some of us would like to stay for 30 days, or people like, I know for me, I like staying for, a year. It just depends, right? I can literally have a central hub, which right now it is the Philippines, and I can bounce around here just, however I feel. And it's kind of nice, right? I have a home away from home.
Yeah. I tend to do 3 to 6 months. I found with connection and community, it's
Mhm.
essential to stay at least 2 months. Between the 2 to 3 month mark is really when you transition from like more superficial friendships to deeper friendships. And if
Gotcha.
you miss that period, that's almost like this unfinished, like, oh, we could have been deeper friends, but now we're just
Oh,
traveling around the world around each other, right? So I've done that
right.
a few times. I was like, the sweet spot really is that 2 to 3 month mark, staying there, and people are more willing to invest in you as well, locals, expats, etc. When they know that they have some significant time, because when you meet someone, they're like, oh, I'm only here for a month, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll see you once. But if they're like, oh yeah, I'm here for 3 months, you're like, okay, yeah, we can see each other a few times, develop
Okay.
something.
That's cool. So like you plan on having like different meetups.
Yeah, so I have hosted play events. So, for example, like in Buenos Aires, I hosted like 100+ person Sunday Fun Day field day where we did like all these different play events there. Hot potato, three-legged race, blowing bubbles. It was a lot of fun, and it was just really great. And I will do some of those events again in the future. I'm really focused on the tech piece right now and
Yep.
launching the startup. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be part of Da Nang's largest global startup competition, and that's here in the city. It's called Surf. So I'll be there with a booth, and I'll be doing a demo. And then next month, at the end of the month, I'll be at the South Summit in Korea at the Deep Tech and AI conference. As well as, I believe, another solo female traveler conference. So that's really the focus right now. And I was hosting my own events, but now I'm really here to find all of the people, all the communities that are hosting these events already, and really highlighting them. So I know like my friends at Nomad Soulmates, at Fairy Trail, those are two apps specifically for digital nomads to connect. I know Epic Llama, for example, also does play events. There's a few people already that I've met in this space and even outside the space, specifically targeted just for travelers, like tour guides, etc. That they're creating these amazing meetups and communities. And I realized I was like, I don't want to compete with them. I want to showcase them. I want more people to see them. So that's really where I see Passport to Connection being at, and finding the people that are looking for those specific groups, right? Because not all the groups are meant for all the people. So I want to be like that little matchmaker to to
That's
help
awesome.
people, because I realized I was doing this myself for all of my friends, all the people I met. So if they were going to go to a city, I was like, okay, I know what you like, and I know the type of friends that you're looking for, and I know the city, and I know the communities there. So I'm gonna make you a list of all the places you should go and the people that you should meet. And I was like, okay, well, can AI do this for me and sub in so that I can scale this? So that's the focus.
So which AI are you using for that?
Yeah, so basically a custom model. Right now, I'm working on the MVP. So on the MVP, I'm essentially using a software that's already created, and utilizing Llama to train that up a bit just
Well,
for the
for our
demo.
audience, what's that acronym? Not everybody knows what that acronym is, including myself.
Oh, so Llama is
So the
Facebook.
MVP, I think you said NV.
Oh yeah, yeah. So minimum viable product.
Oh, okay.
So
Minimum.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, okay.
So at the moment I'm focused on creating just like the most basic form of this particular AI plus curated directory just for a handful of cities. It's essentially a proof of concept. I had this idea like 2.5 months ago, and we're showcasing in a couple weeks. So this is this is the
Are you
speed.
like literally like building it from scratch? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are you?
Yes.
I'm like, because I know people use ChatGPT, right? And they're just connecting the API to it and letting ChatGPT do all the
Oh no, this is
algorithms.
being
So,
built from scratch. We're training the model. We're creating the curated database itself. I'm like hand selecting specific research studies
right.
that will be focused on connection and neuroscience of connection and play as well. So this is like very much like a customized algorithm that's coming from my mind.
So the reason why I'm asking is because you can cut out the biases. That's one of the biggest problems with ChatGPT, right? It's recording off the internet, and there's a lot of biases out there against women, men, whatever, black, white. And so if you build it yourself, it's a little cleaner, I would think,
Yeah,
right?
so exactly. So, right, the MVP is going to be based off of an existing language learning model. Kind of working on like a few of them right now. But the long-term build, the back-end build, is going to be a fully customized
Oh wow.
LLM system. And that's so that it pulls directly from this database that I'm curating. Because a lot of these things you aren't able to find unless you do like massive research. They're not necessarily going to be in the top 10 of SEO that's on Google, and things are constantly changing. And it also has this foundation, as I mentioned. It's going to be inclusive. It's going to be focused on play rather than alcohol-based activities. So for people that are sober curious, it's going to be a lot more accessible for them. And understanding like what your specific play personality is. For example, everyone has something that lights them up, and it starts from when you're a child. And so by identifying what your play personality is, I can better identify what hobbies will light you up as an adult, and then from those hobbies, what are the connection points that will best connects you to yourself and then connects you to others, and to build a foundation for meaningful friendships rather than like shooting in the dark and just seeing what sticks, right?
Right, right. Oh wow, yeah. So my background, I'm an electrical engineer by
Oh,
trade. So and I love programming. So that's why I'm like, wow, this is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I for Jet Set Voyage, I definitely want to connect AI to it. I haven't quite understand how I want to do it. So that's something that's in the works because we already know that's the future, right? And
Yeah.
so, but my scary thing is the Chat GPT is so biased right now. And, Google has their own and Amazon has their own, but I don't really know how to incorporate those. So
Hmm.
something, but
Yeah.
to build it from scratch, like, wow. Okay.
So that's actually my future vision is so I'm not necessarily I am catering to travelers, but the product will be free for travelers to use because what I
Yep.
really want to do is help the businesses reach the travelers so that the travelers that are looking for these things have a better resource to be able to find
Right.
what they're looking for. So once the AI is built, what I would love to do is be able to have it as like a widget or something that other travel companies can use to find personalized recommendations from their own curated
Right.
data. So
Yeah.
that's essentially what I would love to do is to have it be as a plugin that like TripAdvisor or Jet Set Voyage can use to like better recommend resources to people on their direct site. That's like phase 5.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you gotta see the whole future, right? And you just see
Mhm.
the goal in the end and you back up and just take it one step at a time. So that's amazing.
Exactly. So right now we're starting with the MVP. We're going to do some market validation here in Vietnam and in South Korea next month. And I'm looking into accelerator programs right now because it takes a village and I need some mentors and investors to help me with this
Yes.
very large project. So yeah, right now it's a fun endeavor. I think I started off this journey doing, I think what a lot of nomads start off with is just like throwing spaghetti on a wall, right? Trying to
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
sticks.
yeah.
I started off working remotely from my corporate career. I was able to do that for a couple of years before I had to make the decision, take that leap, like yet again, of okay, how badly do I want to keep this lifestyle,
Mhm.
and what type of impact do I want to make in the world? You can, if you can travel anywhere in the world, once you have that ability, what else do you want to do, right? You can only wander for so long before you realize what am I doing with my time, and how am I actually helping people with this time, or am I just going to places and taking pretty photos and posting them on social media, which again, you start off with that and then it kind of snowballs from there.
Okay.
So I am still taking pretty photos and posting them on social media for brands. But yeah, now I'm super focused on this mission and the podcast. So those are the two avenues.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so because for me, it was the same thing. Like, it was sad because even as an adult, I asked myself, like, what's my passion, right? You would hear that all the time, like, what's your passion? And I really couldn't answer the question. It was more of, I could say, yeah, fast cars and I like airplanes. I'm like, you're like, but I was prior Air Force, whatever. But other than that, I mean, what am I going to do with it? Like, how can I turn and monetize my passion? I couldn't, right? I couldn't think of anything. So, and I'm asking myself as I travel, right? And I'm here in Thailand or Philippines, Thailand, bouncing around. And I was like, this is great. Like you said, this is great. But you got to get more serious with it. And how do you help other people, right? Because I want to leave my mark when I leave this world, right? I want to be able to know that I made a difference, right? Nothing spectacular, but at least to a group of people, right? And so, anyways, yeah. So I literally was like, travel. Well, people keep asking me this question. So, all right, great. So let's figure that out. So one thing led to another, right? And like you said, literally, like I did, it's like a bowl of spaghetti. I just threw it on the wall, and of everything I liked, I just like brainstorming, right? And then
Mhm.
just circle things and cross things out. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah, I have a Canva murder map essentially of all of the ideas that I had and all the links. Like I show it to some people whenever I talk to them about this because they're
uh-huh,
starting from a similar place.
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, like this is the general idea. And then like you have like all these like 20 different links across them.
mhm,
Eventually they all connect
yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, you go back to that map and it starts making more sense, right? And you pull other things in or get rid of others. And then as you start talking to people and you're growing, and then you have a little more guidance, right, of where you're headed. And so
Yeah.
I think that's
And
exactly
that's
what you have.
Yeah, and that's so important to talk to people because I think you start off with like you're like, oh, I think that would be really cool to have in the world.
Yeah, yeah,
And then the more that you talk to people, the more people are like, yeah, like I would love to have that. Like, are you gonna make it?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I talked to a few people here in like the startup groups in Vietnam, and they're like, well, are you ready to showcase? We have something coming up in a couple weeks. It's your turn. Like I'm like, okay, sure, let's do that. I'll make something up. Like we'll go. So
yeah,
sometimes you have to just take a leap before you're even ready. But putting your ideas out there, you might not realize how fast I think that fire will burn as soon as it hits like the right person or the right idea.
right, right. So, and I know a lot of people are scared to put it out there because they're scared other people are going to take your ideas, right? And
Mhm.
so what I've learned is a lot of people are, I don't want to say lazy, but too busy, right? Or they
Yeah.
just don't want to put in the work, right? So it's like we have this great idea, and other people are like, oh, I'm going to start that, but it kind of flickers out the flame, right?
Yeah, and I thought about that too with this idea. It's like, oh, well, what if someone takes it? I have gone through the back end.
Mhm.
This is gonna, this is gonna take a while. So if they can do it, like, hey, kudos. It needs to be in
Right,
the world.
right,
But yeah, I think that's the thing is like, once you actually dig into the logistics of like how to make this happen, there's a lot that's involved, and it's not like if it's not your passion, you're gonna burn out. And so like for me, what's driving me is like this is my baby, this is my passion, and I'm willing to go through all that like icky mess to get it out into the world. But yeah, like I'm doing software demos and like learning how to create like marketing materials and get them made in Vietnam of all places, right? Like there's a lot of things that I'm like doing for the very first time. AI is so new from a commercial aspect. Like there's still so much, even as I'm going to like AI meetups and AI conferences, like a lot of people we're just learning all at the same time. So right now really is a pivotal time to jump in.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So, yeah, and there's a lot of stipulations on the good and bad of AI, but I think the direction you're going in, you'll be fine. So,
Yeah, I had a conversation recently about AI replacing human connection because there's a lot of apps out there right now where people are using AI as a substitute. But I'm coming at it as there's no substitute for like real life human connection.
yeah,
And yes, you might have a chat bot that can ask you how you're doing today, but from a neuroscience perspective, you're not getting the same release of hormones and activation in your brain. And how sustainable is that, and how good is that for your long-term health? Like loneliness is the biggest factor to our longevity. So I think that the way that I'm wanting to leverage AI, it would be to shorten the time frame, lower that curve for people to actually to meet their people, to find their people wherever they are.
right. Yep, that's awesome. Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, 'cause I think AI is like it's a mood change that like when we're talking, right, and we fluctuate on our voices and how we feel and what we're talking, we get excited about certain things, we kind of drop
Mhm.
down others, right? Well, AI can't match that when we're communicating with it, right? You literally have to ask it. If you ask it to tell a story, it has a certain mood, and you ask it to adjust, right, make it happy, and it'll be happy. But and then
Mhm.
ask it to be sad again, it just you have to control it more, at least now, right? So it's human interaction is a lot different than just talking with a computer. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
And the physical energy exchange, like there's actual research studies that show that energy is contagious.
right,
And the other thing too is when you're saying like the different moods, that's the same thing. Like when you are in tune with someone, your brains are activated in the same areas at the same time. You guys are getting excited together, and it's just I don't know if we're at the point where AI can really
do
uh,
that.
do
Yeah,
that exactly.
I don't think so. But yeah, wow, that's crazy. That's cool. So, all right, so you have yours. So, say it's playfulpreneur. So
Playfulpreneur. Yeah, so playfulpreneurship is a term I coined actually.
okay,
And it's a term that I coined based on the fact that I am focused on play. Play is the foundation for a lot of the things that I'm building. And I'm an entrepreneur. And so as we are, both on this entrepreneurship journey and many others, you realize that you can burn out very fast from your own business. Even if it's a passion of yours, you can only do so much. And if you are going at it the same way that you did a corporate job, which is how we learned how to work,
yeah,
then yeah, your vision, your ideas might not actually make it to life because you stop short. You're overstressed, you're overworked, even if it's something that you're excited about. So regardless of what you're working on, if you're not doing it in a playful way, then it's not going to actually persist. It's not going to have that same resilience factor. Like we're only human. So playfulpreneurship, I've done workshops on this, and really it's understanding that work, and it's not work or play, it's work and play. And if you can envision a house standing on two pillars, you have a pillar for work and play, and you have a more stable foundation. Because when you have that more stable foundation, things that can come up, say there's like illnesses or family issues or whatever other external things that happen in life in general, you have a strong foundation with work and play. But if you only have one or the other, it'll topple very quickly. So I have given some workshops and talks about this subject to other entrepreneurs, and how to jumpstart play back into their lives from a short term and also from a long term, and also how play is not just play outside of work, but play inside of work as well. So what are the strategies that you can use so that your day is also filled with play?
see, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's also great for creativity for entrepreneurs, right? Because
Exactly.
the more you play, it just opens that side of the brain of just thinking outside the box of whatever you're trying to do, and it helps you think in a different aspect or different angle to create whatever you're trying to create as an entrepreneur. So that's
exactly awesome. Yeah, imaginative play is one of the biggest things, like imagining yourself out of the situation, like having different perspectives in order to get the solutions that you're looking for. Like imagination, play, that's all related. So leaning into that energy. There are 8 different play personalities. So this is based off of the book called Play. The founder of Institutes of Play, Dr. Stuart Brown, did thousands of play histories with people, understanding like how did they play when they were younger, how do they play as an adult, and then he categorized that into 8 different categories. So I like to ask everyone this question on my podcast, and I'll ask you now. What was your favorite childhood activity?
Playing with G.I. Joes.
Oh.
Active character.
Yeah, I like that.
Or Legos. I love building Legos. Yeah, that's the other one.
And when you were building the Legos, what were you building?
Usually cars or houses, or usually cars or houses.
Okay, and then the G.I. Joes, how were you playing with them? Was there like a storyline, or were they fighting against each other? Like, what was the play like?
Yeah, it was like a story. Like, so, someone's trapped and we need to go save them. All right, guys, let's come up with a plan. Let's go save whoever, right? So it was just like a little storyline we had going on. I had going on.
Yeah. Were you playing with others or just solo?
No, solo.
Yeah.
I was a solo player.
Only child?
No, not only. I'm trying to think when I was playing, because I have 2 sisters and they're 5 years. We're all 5 years apart. So I'm an introvert by trade or by character, I guess. So I just prefer to play alone.
Gotcha. Yeah. So just from that information, I'm taking. So from the Legos, you were constructing, you're playing with your hands, you're building things. That is more reminiscent of a creative play personality. So creative in all the ways, constructing something. And then for the G.I. Joes, I asked a little bit more detail on that because it sounds like it was more imaginative play. So storytelling is also another play personality. So those would be the 2 areas that I would suggest if you weren't tapped in already into what your passions were or what lights you up. I suggest people to go back into their childhood and figure out like what lit them up as a kid before all the pressures of life and society and all of that stuff happened, and go back into storytelling, go back into creativity. And you can start by exploring a lot of different creative hobbies. So maybe it is Legos, or it could be painting or pottery or woodworking or whatever it is where you're creating or doing things with your hands. Same thing with storytelling. As I host these play events, I was like, you can blow the bubbles, you can play with the G.I. Joes, or you can do the adult version of that. And do the reading, the writing, the creating videos, book clubs, etc. Really activating that storyteller side of your play personality. So those 2 were ones that can light you back up so that you can build yourself up again. So I always focus on, before you connect with others, make sure that your cup is filled first. And then once your light is on fire already inside of you, that's how you're going to be able to magnetize the people that are aligned back to you. So as you are doing those activities, maybe you meet the instructor, maybe you meet other people doing those activities with you. Or if you're going to larger events like happy hours or meetups that are more mixed, then you invite those people to do those activities with you. And you start having that as the connection point, as a foundation for the more meaningful friendships.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So for me, it's like I always wanted to be an engineer. Right? I wanted to build something from nothing. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. And it's like I wanted someone to talk to me and say, hey, this is what I need, right? I need this. So it was my job to, make it happen in real world, right? With, software, hardware, and all that, put it together. And so, but as I got older and I realized that I'm stuck working on somebody else's dream, right? And so I'm stuck in a cubicle and I'm just literally like, and I'm like, it's like I lost that passion, right? It was gone. Like this is not what I expected from this. And so, but then when I started thinking outside the box of like being an entrepreneur, right? I thought that was outside of me being a possibility. But once I started thinking about it, and it's like, oh, this is what I want to build. I want to build something to help people, but as a business, right? And so that's exactly where I'm at now. So it's like, oh, it's like a mind blown of this is it. I got it. Okay, what do I do with this, right? So
Exactly.
What's next?
What next?
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's what I wanted, just to build something, and then the story, right?
Yeah.
But the story is what I told myself. My whole life, I feel like it's been a story, right? It's like, I wanted to get married and be happy and have kids and just call it the rest of your life. And, life has a different answer for you sometimes. It's like, no, sorry. Yeah. Try again. Next chapter. So I mean, we all have chapters in our life, but we just got to know that we need to keep pushing forward, right? Keep talking to people. And then I'm big on meditation. So taking that time, that space for yourself, right?
So important.
It is. It really is. So put that out there, meditation. So
I actually have my own meditations. So so it's on my podcast. I host I have like travel focused meditations, and I actually have I created a manifestation tracker. So it's a yearly one. So I'll publish 2025 soon. But I have a 2024 manifestation tracker because I think it's really important to get in touch with gratitude and also observe all the things that you're creating in this life, even the small things, like being grateful for that. I think that as creatives, as we're doing this work, we get inspiration from within and also, from the universe, but we have to be so tapped into ourselves and our energy. If we're not, then all these things, like all these beautiful ideas, could be coming at us at full force, but we are just so numb. We're just so disconnected from ourselves, from the universe, that we're not even receiving any of it. So when people are like, I have no idea where to start, and it's like, okay, we'll start with you. Start with like clearing everything, regulating your nervous system so that you're more sensitive to all of the things that are coming at you, because you guarantee you're getting all these ideas, but you're just like deflecting them because you're not in the right headspace to receive them.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And plus, for me, meditation for our traveling, I really needed to be able to kind of be calm and accept all the trials and tribulations it takes to travel, right? So when that flight gets canceled, but you're halfway through it, right? You're stuck somewhere, right? And you're just like, what do I do? But calm down. Like, how long is your layover? Oh, the layover is like 6 hours. All right, call the airlines, do this, relax. We'll figure it out, right? But I know that if I tried to travel 10 years ago, I'd have been so stressed out. And it's like, and as a digital nomad, when you have your own free time, right? You have that freedom and flexibility of time, you're not so stressed. It's kind of like when you drive to work and you get traffic, but you're early. So you don't stress it as much because you're early. But boy, when you're running late, every little thing, that stop sign, that light, you're like, move, I gotta go, people, let's go, right? So it's the same thing. So with that meditation, it kind of helps give you a peace of mind. So I like to tell people, you work at it in a quiet room, right? And you just, listen to your breathing and just kind of, you pay attention to your breathing, right? And so, but the thing is, once you get good at it, you literally can be standing in the grocery line. And if you start stressing about, I need to go, this line's taking forever, you just start breathing and you're just like, all right, nope, I'm good, right? And like, especially I don't have nowhere to go. And it's like, it's all right. And one of my favorite things is when people say, oh, these people are in my way, get out of my way. But remember, I'm in their way as well, right? We're all in this community together trying to get somewhere. And I think about that in traffic, right? It's like everyone's stressing, but I'm like, we're all trying to get somewhere. Like I'm here in the Philippines, there's tricycles everywhere, right? Everywhere. There's scooters. And I know Vietnam, oh my gosh, the fish scooters, right? I was in Da Nang last year I was there. And so they tell you when you cross the street and there's like 100 scooters coming by, just keep walking. And they're like a school of fish. They'll just go around you. They'll anticipate your walk. Just keep walking. I'm like, just keep going. But anyways, so Yeah, so you just have to understand that we're all living this life together and we're all trying to get somewhere together. So, especially when it's raining, that guy's in that scooter, and I'm like, they call him Kuya here, right? Older brother.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Kuya, go ahead, go ahead. It's raining out there, brother. Go. I'm
Yeah.
in the car. I'm comfortable listening to music. You go ahead. So,
Yeah.
live together.
I'm also a big subscriber to the burnt toast theory, especially just, you know, have you heard about this one?
Nope.
Yeah. So the burnt toast theory is the time that it takes for you to toast a new piece of bread because you burnt the first one could be the time that saved you from something unfortunate or something good that happened because of that delayed time frame. So I always think about that. Like if I'm running late, maybe there's a reason that I'm running late.
Right.
If you know that toast burned, you gotta just accept the fact that you're gonna toast another one.
Yeah.
And you'll arrive when you arrive. And having this mindset, oh my God, it has been the weirdest set of synchronicities that have happened over and over and over again. For example, like I will in my apartment here in Vietnam, there was one time where I was missing my key and I just could not figure out where this key was, but I need it, right? In order to get back in. So I took another, let's just say like 5 minutes to get this key out. And as soon as I walked down my apartment, and I'm on like a side street, so I walked down to my apartment and there's a guy in front of my apartment who I had met the night before at a different meetup. And I was like, we talked very briefly, right? And I thought nothing of it, and then I went to a different meetup, I think a few days later, and that same guy was there. So I was like, okay, I met him 3 times. And I was trying to figure out like what his purpose was, right? Like, why do I keep running into him? And I realized, so at that meetup, he actually encouraged me to go talk to another guy at the meetup. And that guy is a government official here in Da Nang in charge of bringing innovation and startups. And because of that conversation, I'm now hosting my own booth at the startup competition.
Wow.
So it's like, right? Like, had I missed that chance to connect with that guy again, maybe they wouldn't have gone to the next meetup. And because he actually pushed me, he was like, you got to go talk to him. Even if you're scared, you just got to go. And it's funny because that guy ended up leaving the Vietnam like 2 days after, right? So it wasn't like it was a significant connection. But because of that, I noticed, I was like, wow, like now I'm going to be like in the startup competition because my keys I couldn't find for those 5 minutes. Isn't that so wild?
Yeah,
and that happened again a different time too, where because I left my apartment at that exact time, I ended up crossing the street into someone that I had connected with online. And I was like, this is so strange because you're in Vietnam and of all the places, streets, locations in this city, we just happen to be crossing right into each other. So you have to, I think it's the meditation, being grounded and being able to be so grounded that you can notice some of these like beautiful synchronicities that are happening. And instead of being like, oh, I'm so late because I was missing my key, ask yourself, what was that 5-minute delay for and what beautiful things are happening because of it?
Right. Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's sometimes this weird thing that I've been like on this weird synchronicity thing over the last, specifically the last couple months that I've been in Da Nang, it's been heightened, but over like since I've been more open to meditation and transitioning more into this like travel lifestyle, you notice a lot more because you're much more grounded in yourself. You're not like as stressed. And in that process, you realize like everything is so connected and actually pretty magical.
And you can't force it. It just has to happen. You have to open yourself up to allow it to happen, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah, you can't force anything. Even when you try, what was it? It's like there's a saying where the longer you hold the rope, the stronger the fire feels when you're holding it, or like the more it hurts your hands, the longer you hold the rope. So it's like you can't hold on to anything too tight for too long, because it's just going to hurt you. And so, it's just going with the flow and not forcing anything and not being so attached to any specific outcome.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So you keep saying you go to these meetups. Is this like from meetup.com?
Oh, yeah.
Is it from Meetup?
It is not actually. So,
okay.
So this is why I'm creating a custom database because a lot of people they only think of meetup.com, which is again is a huge resource, but not every community is on that website, and not every city has a huge presence on there. So here, so basically what I do in my first 2 weeks in any city is I meet all the people, I make all the friends. And it's a strategy that I've created for tapping into WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, doing like a deep dive Google search in local languages, in like English, just I find them all, or they find me. So in Da Nang specifically, I have met the curators of a lot of these like meetup type websites. So Digital Da Nang, for example, they host events, or they post the events and host them as well. But theirs are a little bit more, not the word eclectic, but more like cool type of events, like nightlife type of events.
Like hipsters?
No, not hipsters. More like nice rooftops. And like
get
those
all
types
dressed up and look all.
Yeah, but like networking events or music events, like more of that like fun type of vibe. And then there's the Da Nang Leisure, which focuses on like introducing tourists and to the local events, local communities. And then Da Nang 365, I think, is also hosting that. There's also a curated calendar that someone has put together of all the WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. And there's another Facebook group that puts together all these events. So this is really where the problem lies, right? Like you can get so overwhelmed on like, okay, well, do I use Digital Da Nang or Da Nang Leisure or Da Nang 365 or this calendar or that Facebook group for digital nomads?
Yes.
There's some overlapping events across all of them, depending on if that community cross-promoted. But then how do you know which one you should go to?
Right.
Where are the people that you want to meet? So that's essentially what I do my first 2 weeks is I go to all of the events, I find all the things, having these conversations, doing the research, and then I put them all into like one organized list. and then now we're adding
database.
My own database, yeah. Exactly, because I realized I was doing this anyway, and now I'm like, I might as well share. I started off doing workshops, teaching people about player personalities, teaching them how to find these resources themselves, and then I realized it's a lot of work, and people don't really want to do that. So that's why I'm coming in with more of a tech-based solution.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. Yeah, because I'm lost on that venue too, because I'm here in the Philippines, and I literally go to Meetup. Just go to the website and look for stuff, and you can't find anything.
No. So actually in the Philippines, I have a whole strategy. So I was in BGC for a couple of months, and there's actually quite a number, but Facebook groups are a huge thing there. So I would tap into the Facebook groups. The issue with the Philippines, specifically in that Manila area, is there's a lot of veterans. So a lot of like Internations, for example, I tapped into those events while I was there, and a lot of the groups were like very much on like an older demographic. Right. Totally fine. A lot of the Facebook groups as well, a lot more older demographic, or actually a lot are looking for a Filipino wife, which I definitely wasn't looking for. I was like,
I'm not judging.
But I was like, this is not the right group. I was looking for like entrepreneurs, digital nomads, etc. It's not that big of a presence in the Manila area. So it is a lot of tapping into local communities, going to co-work offices and going into the events that they host is another resource. There's actually a good number of expat communities as well that you can tap into. So a little less nomad heavy, but more expat and local heavy. And there's events and like classes and resources. Like I found a meditation center in a couple meditation centers actually in BGC that host events as well. So that would be like my recommendation for Manila. Another option that I created myself was I went on Bumble BFF. So like I love Latin dancing. So I found a local restaurant that hosted Latin dancing at least like a few times a month. And I swiped on Bumble Friends. So I filtered Bumble Friends specifically for people who like to dance, people who like to travel, and that are new to the city. And those filters will get you people that are less flaky. Right. And then also have a similar interest. So then I matched with, I think maybe like 10 of them, and invited them all into the same event, and we all went and danced, and I created a WhatsApp group for them afterwards, and then I had a friend group after that. There's like Yeah, so there's various strategies depending on what city, but it is going to be very city specific, which is why I was like, okay, I need to create a custom solution for each one, or at least give people tips for each city because there's variances in the demographics and what's available.
Well, that's a lot of good stuff. So we will
Yeah.
definitely share all your information that we have and get the word out there. I actually have a invite only Facebook group. So
Oh,
I'm gonna send you a link just so you can check it out because we're trying to. I know you have all your groups and communities, but I'm trying to just build something that we can actually have like one on, like we can all group and talk, right? So I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, the Facebook groups are so, I mean, there's thousands in there, but trying to get an answer or actually talk to people is so hard. I
it
mean,
is, yeah.
that could just be me, but so I'm trying to do I am building an invite only smaller group. So even if it's only 20 people, well, we can all just kind of share our ideas and something like that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm in all of the groups. I love seeing, so my larger vision
uh-huh.
is putting all the group leaders together and having shared resources for how to create communities
Yeah,
that are impactful, that actually encourage meaningful connections and
yeah,
learning from each other, and having like an awards as well. I think that would be fun of like
absolutely.
best community leader, best city for how to make friends or like easy friendships, etc. So that's the, let's just say that's like phase 3 of the
Yeah, 'cause
project.
how do you connect with other people who are like-minded like yourself but who are actually doing something, right? So like the other groups out there, well, someone started it, so like I want to talk to that person, right? Not
Yeah, yeah.
all the other people who are kind of, like you said, flaky and then just kind of here and there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I do a lot of DMing with people.
Yeah, you sound like you're on that social media pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I got someone else doing that for me. I don't know why. Me and social media don't get along, and I think it's because people, they just, their answers to certain questions, and I'm like, come on, like, why are you being this way? Be nice, right?
Yeah.
We're all trying to make our way, but you always got, like we say, there's always someone in class who's going to be the class clown or the smart ass
Yeah.
or whatever. You're like, come on.
I highly suggest blocking a lot of people. I do that on Facebook groups because there's so many people that aren't even supposed to be in those groups, but they just want to troll, and I don't want to post something and then have them troll. So I just remove them completely. You don't see their toxic comments, and it makes for a much easier experience. So highly recommend that as well.
That's a good idea. Good advice. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely need to put myself out there more. Stop being an introvert. Get my butt out there. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
got
and
this podcast started, so
yes,
that's a thing.
I will say podcasting has been like the best way for me to make a lot of connections, especially in this industry, because you talk with someone for an hour and a half
Oh,
and you
yes. Oh
really
my
get to know them
God.
really well.
Right, right. Yeah, it's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, right now we're starting off, so we're trying to keep ours around an hour. We don't want to bore anybody, but I think
Yeah.
we're good, Geleen. It was definitely nice meeting you. It was nice
Yeah.
talking to you. Yeah, I want to connect with you again.
Yeah, let's
And
stay connected. I will give you
for
access once I
sure.
have my MVP, because I'm looking for beta testers as well. So I'm listing businesses. It's kind of like a two-sided marketplace
Yep.
where the businesses will have a directory slot. So you can feature whatever it is that you're wanting to create in terms of community or um, whatever market that you're trying to tap into. And then I have like the travelers as well who will have their own profiles. So it's kind of a two-sided thing.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So just send me all your links to IN on just the Gmail, and then that way we can add that on here. I will share it with all of our audience here so they can get a hold of you, follow you, and keep up what you're doing. They'll check out your podcast. I'm gonna check out your podcast. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So thanks
Perfect.
again
Yes.
for showing, Geleen, and we will talk to you later.
Amazing. Thank you. It was great chatting.
All right, bye guys.